Regina Mccann, President of Forge Wealth Management, and welcome to our Thriving in Health and Wealth series. Today, my co-host is Patty Burke. Patty is co-founder of Whole Health Co. LLC, which is in the Philadelphia area. And Patty, can you remind people what you guys do for everybody in the area?
Sure. Happy to be here again today. We are a corporate wellness company. So we help to support the well-being of employees, their health, physical, mental health, and we assist the employers to enhance the wellness services that are already provided through their insurance carrier. We come in and assess what they already have and then add on to their wellness programs. And we offer webinars and workshops and all kinds of integrative enhancements for those employees. There's a lot of COVID prevention that we're helping out with COVID testing, safe distance devices, all around the goal of increasing the employees' holistic health, their mental health, their physical health, so that they can be more productive and energetic at work. So that's what we do. My background, I am a certified health and life coach, and I'm always happy to be here sharing, some of my background and insights regarding nutrition, fitness, weight loss, and relationships, communication, things like that.
Yeah.
So today is really going to be fun.
Yeah, we have a great topic on hand. And Patty and I were talking before we started recording about some of the really cool things their company is doing in the COVID space and in the corporate space and in the education space. So learn more, definitely go visit their website. And at the end today, Patty will give you some ways to connect with her and her company. So Patty, please tell us what we're going to talk about today. And it's a great topic for February.
Well, we are going to talk about relationships. What better time of year to talk about enhancing our relationships than February? Valentine's Day, is a great reminder for us to be able to focus, really put our attention and intentions on relationships. Sometimes in the summertime, June will come around and we're starting to focus on bikini weather and getting in the summer shorts.
Wait a minute, okay. You can still wear a bikini, I'm sorry.
Bikini weather, not I yet.
Too old for that.
It's always an aspiration. There's many people out there.
Yeah, there are plenty of that age. Yeah, I wish.
Anyway, but this time of year is a great time to focus on our relationships. So we're going to talk about what is an ideal relationship. What is an ideal relationship? What does that mean? And how do we make them more fulfilling and long-lasting? Right? How's that sound?
That sounds great. I'm very excited. This is going to be a great topic.
Perfect. So let's face it, we're all human. And as humans, we need social connections. We've certainly had a wake-up call during COVID when we've all been forced to stay in our homes and to not socialize so much physically, like out in bars and restaurants and museums and concerts and ball games, all of that. And I'm sure a lot of us are feeling the effects on how that can affect our mood. So that's a real thing. It's a part of being human, right? So this is what I've learned as a life coach. This is what it's all about is as humans, we need social connections. We cannot survive in solitude. We were not, created that way.
No, we're social creatures for sure.
Yeah. So as a result, relationships are an essential part of our human existence. So the big question is, what is an ideal relationship? So let's start there. So according to Deepak Chopra, he's one of my expert wellness gurus. Um, an ideal relationship is one where there is a strong connection that can be trusted, brings peace, and finds healing after disconnection. Okay. So that's what makes a long-term relationship. Now, relationships can come in all forms with your spouse, your parents, your children, um, your coworkers.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, that is an excellent, excellent point, because immediately, at least for me, when I think of relationships, I think of my spouse, right?
Immediately, you think of intimate relationship,
Yes,
right? And
yes.
right.
However, there are so many people that you have relationships with in your life, like each child that you have, aunts, uncles, parents, friends. I mean, and you have to, like,
Mhm.
you probably go into this, but you have to nurture each one of those in their own environment, because
Yeah.
they're all different.
Yeah, it's funny. There's commonalities that we want to keep in mind, and then there's going to be different levels
Mhm.
of how deep you go with your discussions, with different people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so, of course, your coworker relationship much different than a spouse or a parent. So that's all intricate. Today, I want to keep it a little broader as to how to really enhance all of those relationships. What does it take for us individually just to be able to thrive in those relationships as best we can? So according to another guru who I follow, according to Brene Brown, who's the famous psychologist on vulnerability, has written a
Yeah.
lot of books and TED Talks. She's amazing. According to Brene, a deep sense of love and belonging is a deep human need. So from the moment, so this is one of the basis of our relationships, is this sense of love and belonging. So when we think about relationships, from the moment we're born until the day we die, okay, we have this deep need for love and beyond belonging. So we are biologically and cognitively wired to love, to be loved, and to belong. So when those needs are not met, we don't function as we were meant to. We break, we ache, we hurt others, we act out. Sometimes we get sick, we get ill. The absence of love and belonging will always lead to suffering.
Yeah.
So, so that is, part of our human need. So to thrive in relationships, we need to understand our our basic human needs. And this is from infancy. So there's three of them. There's the love, there's safety, and belonging, right? So Brene was talking about love and belonging. I add in there safety, this feeling of being safe.
I think that's a great thing to add. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then when we do feel safe, we can be vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
We can be open to communication. We can get along better, with our parents if we know that they're providing us a safe environment.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Because I can't imagine allowing myself to be vulnerable if I didn't feel safe.
Exactly. Because then you might be criticized publicly. You might be your reputation slashed.
Mhm.
You could get heartaches, broken heart, and all kinds of things. So if you want to learn more about being vulnerable, look her up, Brene Brown. She's the
Okay.
expert. So there, those are our human needs are important to keep in mind regarding relationships. We also, though, have basic human desires, okay? And our desires are to be seen and heard. So you've probably heard of this before. Oprah was a big proponent of this. We simply need to feel valued. We want to feel that we matter. So whether you're in an intimate relationship or if you're a parent or a child, that child needs to know that they matter. Oh, okay, honey, I opened the door. I've come home from work. guess what? I'm going to recognize you. I'm not going to walk right by you. I need to like have eye contact, recognize you. That's why, like, even when you're a student and you're in the hallways, and I always wondered that, and you'd be, hi, how you doing? You'd have your stack of books. There'd be like 15 of those that you start exchanging, going to your different classrooms. And I always wondered, that's kind of silly, isn't it? No, it's a way of noticing that that person is seen,
Hmm.
that they matter. So it might have felt silly, like all these highs. Why are people doing that? It's because we're letting each other know in a tiny little way that they matter.
And it's
So
a
a
two-way
way,
street because once you validate them, they validate you back.
exactly. Yes, and we're going to get into that.
Okay.
Relationships being a dance, a conversation. So our basic human desires, right, are to be seen and to be heard. And we can do this for one another through a few ways: through conversation, through our actions and behaviors of tolerance and acceptance, and thirdly, through caring acts of gratitude, kindness, or concern. Okay. So that's key, because people ask, how can I show someone that I love them or that I hear them? It's through your action. Just like I gave that quick example, when you come home and see your kids, say hello. How was your day? So, however, though, you may ask me, um, can this be difficult? This isn't always easy. To kind of stay on board with everything flying high, like, oh, everything's going great. No, people can get real heartache and sadness over their relationships. Things can become a little contentious, maybe with some coworkers.
Right.
Maybe
And you know
you're
what?
overstepping your boundary. What do you see? Yeah.
Right, no, but I think that's important though. Relationships aren't always easy and
Mhm.
you have to work at them to
Yes.
keep it moving in a healthy direction and making sure that it is an open communication with each other.
True. Exactly. Because people have feelings. Those feelings can get hurt. I don't know if you've seen it across your staff, at your financial, uh, in your business,
Mhm.
through coworkers. Someone might feel offended, and they don't even, and the other coworker doesn't even realize that they offended the other
Right,
person.
it could definitely happen.
That can eat
And it
away,
happens.
right?
Yeah, and it happens in families and offices. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So it can be difficult, primarily because of ego differences and various conflicts that can arise.
Yeah.
So as tension and strain develop, there is a disconnect instead of a connection. So keeping that connection is challenging. So solution wise, what can we do about this? Right? So let's dig into some solutions for making our relationships peaceful and fulfilling and long lasting.
Good.
Okay, does that sound all right?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Great idea.
Okay, so number one, numero uno, is all about numero uno, yourself. So strong relationships actually start with ourselves. Okay. So all relationship, they're based on how you relate to yourself, with how much love and understanding and forgiveness that we give to ourselves, right? Some people are not, they're used to being Teflon, or I can do this by myself, or don't pay attention to me, or they push their feelings down, or they might have a little, self-hatred going on, or whatever's going on. That actually reflects in how you treat other people. And I don't think people realize that.
Right, right. The self-care is very, very important. And
Mhm.
you have to take care of you before you can take care of someone else. Just like the airplanes, every time
Mhm.
there, they say, put your mask on first before helping anyone else. You have to take care of you before you can help other people.
Yeah, there's that aspect. Yep, taking care of you, and that aspect of how do you really feel about yourself?
Right,
You
right.
know, what is really in your heart and your brain about
Mhm.
yourself. And that's where it can get sticky.
Right, because if you're not projecting positive about yourself, then how can you project positive outside of yourself?
Exactly. Right. Yeah. So you want to develop this strong sense of self, which is dynamic, honest, and forgiving. So again, some people have that self hate or the self bad
Mm,
talk,
okay.
um, negative talk in their head,
Yeah. Get
and
rid
they're
of it.
not very forgiving for themselves. You should have done better. You're so bad. Why did you screw up like that? Blah 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 blah. Well, guess what? If you're talking and treating yourself like that, you're going to treat others. It'll just kind of expound out of you. And you could look like this critical person to other people because if you have high expectations about yourself, you're naturally going to have high expectations of other people. And then, they're not always going to be perfect. And then, you might become more critical and look like an ass or something, and when you really didn't mean to be.
Right,
So it
right,
really
right.
all, kind of stems from your own self-confidence, the way you project, and develop that self-love, self-care for yourself. So that's something to work on. That's something
Mhm.
that can be improved. It's not a given. It comes from our family life. It comes from our background, our experiences. All those things add up to how, we treat and think about ourselves. So that's great. So lastly, secondly and lastly, about helping our relationships. Um, Another thing that's really important is communication. Again, we've all heard this because really, what do relationships involve? They involve two people or more, and how we relate to each other. So it's either touching, feeling, talking, right? So it's all about how we communicate.
Right.
Um, So communication is like a dance, right? One person moves forward while, the other one is moving back. You're talking and you're listening and you go in a rhythm. But yet when communication breaks down, there can be a misstep and
Mhm.
both of us are on the floor in a tangle of confusion.
Oh, that's an awesome analogy. Love it.
Tangle of confusion on the floor. It can happen anytime, any moment,
And it
right?
does. It does. It does.
Right? So there can be a misstep. So here are tips for the best way to get back in step. Okay. So this is my little punch list. Be truthful to each other. Honesty, honesty. And again, this comes with vulnerability and
Mhm.
safety. Some
Mhm.
people don't feel safe being honest. So try to develop and realize, okay, I'm going to be safe and I just need to be honest. That because you have to start at a baseline. Because if it starts with lies, then things can spiral and change before your eyes. So
Yeah.
you have to be truthful for what you want, what you expect, in what you're feeling. Secondly, celebrate each other's victories. That's so important. So that's part of that piece of giving concern, giving gratitude to the other person. Let them know they matter, and so celebrate their little victories. It's going to matter to them. Check in with each other. Hey, how you feeling? I know you had like this big presentation to do today, this morning. How did it go? Just checking in with you. Or how about that big discussion we had last night? And now it's the next day. What are your thoughts on that? How are you feeling after that big talk? Just wanted to check in, see how you're doing. It doesn't have to be this long involved thing. So check in with each other. Ask each other, what do you really want? What is important to you and what can I do to help? So this has to do with love languages. So this is another great one. This book that was written years ago on love languages. We all have our own love language. I think there are like 5 of them.
Mhm.
Have you heard of this?
I
Um,
haven't, but some of the questions you're asking are exceptional because it's like you're getting feedback, and instead of assuming you know what they want, you're asking for the feedback so that they can really tell you what's going on. And you're giving them permission by asking those questions. You're giving them the permission they need to tell you what's really going on or what they really do want.
Exactly. Yes. And by the way, that's great, because when we're giving them permission, that's lowering their nervous system. Again, it's allowing them to relax and become vulnerable and a little more open and honest. And that's the thing. See, and we all receive love in a different way. That's what love languages are. They are the way that we like to receive love. Not everyone receives it the same. So we can all assume. So for instance, a love language is service, being of service to someone. Another one is gifts, physical possessions and gifts. So there might be one wife who loves getting flowers. She loves getting affection from her mate by gifts, by him showing her, his affection by giving her necklace here and there, or earrings or flowers. And that just fills her up. It gets her so excited. There might be another wife, another woman who doesn't really, no, she's not materialistic. That doesn't, what I really love as wife number two, lady number two, is service. When my husband is there to help me, with the kids, or to be of service, and we pitch in around the house. So that's a love language. So a husband might think that it's gifts, that it's flowers that she wants. And he's wondering, why is she moody and just not being receptive to me? Well, you didn't figure out her love language. She might want acts of service rather than the flowers once a month. So you want to ask the person, what is important? So some people have important things in their life, like they have a love for music, or they have a parent who's ailing, and that's really important in their life. It's on the front. It's a big priority. So now, as their love mate, or or as a friend, you just want to understand, what is important to them, so that you can relate and be able to give them love the way they want. And you just really want to be open to criticism. Lastly, just be open to conversation and to constructive criticism, because that doesn't always land so well.
That's a tough one. I have to say, that's a tough one.
Yeah. When people are uncomfortable and not feeling safe and like, uh-oh, I'm not agreeing, right, with this isn't really my stance. It's important to be able to take those deep breaths and just hear the other person out. You don't always have to beat them like in an argument on your point of view. Just know that you can hear them out and you can agree to disagree.
Yeah. And that is one of my favorite sayings I learned, I don't know how long ago, a couple years ago. We can agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're not going to change my mind and I'm not going to change your mind. And we just have to agree that both of our points are valid. Our feelings are certainly valid, but we disagree, and that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So we just want to stay receptive to all the possibilities out there. Even though you're thinking in your mind, I'm not agreeing with this is crazy.
Yeah.
This is hurtful to me. Try to hold off. And then once they get to voice, right, they want to be heard, then you can say, oh, you know what? Thank you for sharing that. However, are you open to hearing my side or another perspective? So again, you're asking for permission, and they'll say, yeah, okay. All right, you go. And then
I'm
you
going to
can
try this on Joe.
There you go. Try it on Joe. That's perfect. He'll love it.
Oh,
So that's it. I call it priming the conversation.
that's great. No,
Just
that's
being
good
open.
stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the bottom line is, the way I see it, we are all part of this one big universe, and we thrive in the presence of others. So, we all want to be loved, and we all want to share love. So let's show that other person that we hear them, we see them, and we value them. So
Wow. That is really good stuff. Really good stuff. And you know what, no matter what time of year it is, this is a great message to hear. Obviously, it's great in February, kind of times up with the Valentine's Day theme. However, you know, many times people need to hear this, you know, a couple times, different ways, you know, like what's another saying? You can deliver the same message in a different manner and it's heard a different way. All right. So,
It matters. Yeah, exactly. And it matters how you come across
yeah.
to other
Great
people.
topic. Really good topic. So yeah, so I can't wait. I can't wait for people to hear this message. It's really, really a great topic. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
So Patty, if people want to find out more about what your company is doing, how are they going to go find you? Where are they going to go to look?
Well, they could email me at pburke@wholehealthcollc.com. They can visit our website at wholehealthcollc.com. We're in Google. You can Google corporate wellness in Philadelphia, and we pop up there. Yeah, I'm happy to chat with you. I do meet with people one-on-one regarding their health and wellness and mental health and stress reduction and communication skills, all these kinds of things. In our corporate setting, we're especially involved with wellness programs supporting employees who are working from home. They're overstressed, and it's showing up as low productivity at work. It's affecting their coworkers' relationships.
Oh.
So we work on team building. We work on communication skills around the work environment. For you know, yeah, people can locate me through my website or my email, and I'm happy to chat anytime.
Yeah, great. You're such a great resource. Thank you for sharing everything with us. It's very,
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
And, oh, I look forward to the next one.
Thank you.
And I want to thank everyone who's listening today. We appreciate you as well. And we look forward to many more adventures together. Again, I'm Regina Mccann, president of Forge Wealth Management. My website is forgewealth.com. I'm on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Forge Wealth, and LinkedIn at Regina Mccann. Thanks and have a great day.